Welcome to my hardcore Minecraft world, where I've officially survived 2,000 days. Over these past 1,000 days, I've really shifted my focus from just surviving to building my dream Minecraft world. During this journey, I built so many different things like a villager trading hall, a map room, a windmill, a crop field, another crop field. Okay, a lot of crop fields. A tavern, a forest, a lava farm, a mountain, a city that's run by cats, and a whole lot more. You, yes you, are about to see how all that came to be, with a little bit of new stuff in there to keep it fresh for those of you who might have already seen this before. So if you enjoy the ride, consider sticking with me for the journey to 3,000 days. So without farther ado, let's start the first episode. Or, well, it's actually episode 11, but you know what I'm talking about. Today, we're going to be building Diagon Alley from Harry Potter in Minecraft. Well, sort of. This isn't going to be a replica, but it definitely takes heavy inspiration from the fictional town. You see, I want my version to be a little more dark and run down, but still keeping that whimsical fantasy vibe. So, stick around to see what the finished product looks like, and to help me come up with a name, because it is way too cool to not have a name. Not only is this place gonna look awesome, it's gonna serve as my villager trading hall. So, I've laid out a block palette for every type of villager, and I'm gonna try to make a unique build for each one of them. I don't know if I'll stick to these palettes, but I'm gonna play around with the design in this creative world before I build it back in hardcore. One design later. The design is done, and wow, does it look good. The only problem is, this is the list of all the materials I need to gather. Yeah, you guys didn't actually want to make any progress today, did you? And what took me 3 hours turns into only a few seconds for you guys. We've made plenty of good progress though. Believe it or not, this was actually all stuff that I found around the base, so that's cool. But somehow we're only about halfway there. So I've done some more off-camera mining and gotten a ton of resources, but there's one key item that I'm missing, and that's frog lights. There's no easy way to get those, so why not make a crazy over-the-top farm that I'll probably just use once? That will keep me from going insane. Before we finish the farm, we need to get 3 different types of frogs. That way we can get all the frog light variants. Now, to do that, we'll need to travel to 3 separate biomes. So let's sync up some portals and get these frogs. The only bad thing is that frog breeding involves a lot of waiting. I mean, a lot of waiting. So much waiting that you guys are probably going to click off the video. So let's change that.
A wizard is never late. Nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he means to.
You're a wizard, Harry.
And last few frogs here. Nice! Welcome home, guys. Alright, the farm is all done. This is a design by Shulkercraft, so if you guys want to build it yourself, I'll leave a link down in the description. And wow, this thing is efficient. I think it's safe to say I won't need frog lights for a while. I went ahead and gathered up the rest of the resources in a montage, but somehow the footage is all blurry. I think I fixed the issue now, but I'm recording this voiceover a while after the clip, so there's a good chance it's gonna pop up again, so sorry about that. Anyways, I'm showing you this because this moment is just way too funny not to show. Long story short, I was in this cave at night without headphones when... yeah, I got jump scared by a creeper and threw my shovel, and long story short, rest in peace, shovel. You will be missed.
Mission failed. We'll get them next time.
Always play with your sound on, kids. Couple near-death experiences later and we have everything we need. Although, I need to clear out some more space for the build. Hey, that was easy. It was not easy. That took like an hour. Shop 1 is done. It's tough to judge it right now because they're all supposed to be connected, but I really like it. Mud with bricks and granite is quickly becoming one of my favorite palettes to build with. And don't worry about the roof, that'll be fixed later, but it's a little dangerous right now. Two buildings in and man, these are looking good. This one's for the cleric, so I tried to make it feel like a little more mystical and magical. Hence, you know, all the different blues and end rods and whatnot. We're off to a pretty good start though. Let's keep going. first half is done, and wow, I'm super happy with this. I mean, it's lacking some details now, but trust me, you guys, it's gonna come together nicely. I think my favorite so far might be the red or like the blue cleric house, but I can't really choose, you know, they're like my kids. I've also added in tons of details like these little houses up at the top here that are gonna fill in the gaps. I mean, you don't see them too much, but they really help bring it to life. Overall, I'm super excited about how part 1 turned out. So let's build the second half. Alright, it's almost all done. Now we just need the roof, floor, tunnel, and some detailing, which... Okay, maybe it's not almost done. But this is the bulk of it, and man, this looks nice. I mean, like you saw at the start of the episode, I'm using a ton of different colors, and I just really want to make the building stick out. I think the fun with that is that the contrast works nicely, but then I have to challenge myself to try to blend the buildings together without giving you guys too much tonal whiplash. And here's a better look at the little builds that are tucked away in the top of the alley. Alright, now let's get this thing finished. And what a difference these make. Wow. I mean, the floor and the sky, they just make it feel totally complete. Much darker and gloomier, kind of like I was going for. It's not connected with the rest of the landscape yet, but don't worry, it will be. With the tunnel and terraforming mostly done, I decided to add in another building and a little bit of my redstone genius. The redstone totally took me a normal amount of time, and not in all an hour or two longer than it should have. Come on, give me a break, guys. I've been hard at work on this for ages. I know the terraforming doesn't look great, but we'll change it as we start to build more around the castle. That way I don't have to go in and change it every time we want to add something, and it gives me a good excuse to be lazy. Just a few more details to add, and... it's done! Sure, we didn't do the interiors today, but that's an issue for another day. I'm super proud of this project. It was really ambitious for me, and to get it all done in one video, well, was a lot of work. There's about 10, 15 hours of footage that went into this. So if you stuck around this long, think about subscribing. I have some great projects coming up and I'd love for you to be a part of them. But until next time, thanks for watching and I'll see you soon.
The Villager Trading Hall was a project that I dreamt of doing for a long time. At the beginning of the episode, I call it Diagon Alley, like from Harry Potter, and that's exactly what I was trying to capture with this build. I want it to be a very dark and grimy, sort of seedy underbelly of the city, just right beneath the castle, but within that I also wanted to capture the whimsy and charm, almost a magical feel, if you will. That magic does wear off a little bit when you see the state the Villager Trading Hall is in now. Yeah, it's not my best work, but I do have plans to work on this in the interiors for 3,000 days. So the magic's not back here yet, but it will be soon, don't worry. Hey, speaking of magic, next episode I decided to...
Oh man, I'm gonna be late. Welcome back to another episode of the Hardcore World. Today, we're going to be turning this boring old room into a gorgeous map room that showcases the world we've made so far. So stick around to the end to see how it turns out. And if you're new here, consider subscribing. I'm trying to hit 2,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and I'd love for you all to be a part of this crazy journey. Thanks. So to start out, we're gonna get this hallway up to standards. I mean, it's been like 1,200 days and it still looks like this. I just built an awesome new villager trading hall, so I think I can manage to upgrade this hallway. Let's keep things simple and follow the pattern that I had with the other two hallways. No need to totally change it up, that's going to come later in the episode. Oh no, not again. Please, we can't lose another friend in this world. Oh, don't make me do it, Frienderman. It's not every day that you have to bury a friend, especially a friend like the Frienderman. Known to some as the guy trapped in dirt in my base, and others as a mob in the game of Minecraft, but to all, a friend. May he rest in the big end island in the sky. We'll miss you, Frienderman. But why stop at one hallway when you can have two? This part's going to be the same as the other, so we can pretty much just copy and paste the design.
But now the entrance to this base is severely lacking, so we're going to need to fix that. We'll keep it pretty similar, but we're going to make a few adjustments because it needs to look nice from the surface too. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And with all that out of the way, I want to start working on the main hall. I wanted to have this big, sort of dome-shaped roof to maintain some of the height that we already have in here. In the floor, we're going to have a map of the entire base and the city that's going to be surrounding it soon. It's going to be fun to watch the map change and grow as the city grows around us. And lastly, I want to bring in some foliage to make this place feel just a little bit more connected with the outside. I love the design we have in here, but it does feel a tiny bit cold. I think that adding in some foliage is really going to bridge the gap that we have between the two sections of the base. For the roof palette, I'm thinking we tie it in with the walls and just add in some dark prismarine trim and maybe some other blue blocks. Yeah, that looks nice. For the walls, I like basalt to break up all the blues that we have going on, but I think it needs something else. Okay, hear me out. I know this looks a little bit weird, but I kind of love it. It feels like some kind of modern art exhibit or something abstract. Yeah, let's go with that. The floor doesn't need to be anything too crazy. We'll keep it similar to the hallways. Some sugarcane could be a nice touch too. Kind of like we have in the storage room. Oh, and we're going to need to leave room for the maps. I think the glowstone will make it pop. Last but not least, let's add in some foliage. Honestly, no build of mine would be complete without a bunch of glowberries and spore blossoms. I mean, they just fit so well everywhere. And you know what? Soul lanterns, because why not? They work really well and they give it a little bit of extra ambiance in here. I mean, it is supposed to be pretty grand after all. And with all these item frames in place, it's time to map out the world. First map in place, and it's looking pretty good. Maybe I should have changed the size of these, but
Nah, I actually think it'll be really cool just seeing this island, you know? Final maps in place, and yeah, that looks great. I'm super happy with how they turned out. Now it's time to cover them up. Just with glass, of course. I think that the blue glass fits the best because it really goes with the base theme and it doesn't affect the view of the maps too much. Yeah, I think that's a winner. Maybe we'll make it flush with the floor one day, but I like this a lot. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. So the main hall is looking good now, but the upstairs portion of the base looks like this.
Ew!
Yeah, let's change that. Nothing too crazy up here. I want to keep birch floors like the rest of the upstairs, and for the walls, I'll just extend the castle's wall gradient down. I am going to angle the floor towards the center so that you can drop into the main section of the base. And I know that's not too walkable, but we already built a staircase this episode. And plus, I use my elytra like 99% of the time, so it doesn't matter too much. But before we finish this project up, we have a friend to rescue. Yeah, this guy's been with us since we started the base like a few hundred days ago. So it's only fitting that... Wait, did I really mess that up? As I was saying, this guy's been with us for a while, so he's getting the special treatment. Welcome to your new home, Jeb. Maybe one day we can build him his own custom biome or something, but for now, you can just hang out in the storage room. Better than where you were before. And the upper part of the main hall is done. It's pretty good looking, I think. I mean, nothing special, but not everything has to be. Now, I was planning to end the episode here, but I kind of got a sudden wave of inspiration and maybe even a little irritation from the fact that I still don't have a bedroom in this world. Yeah, it's been nearly 1,200 days and I sleep in my storage room. That's pretty embarrassing, guys. So, we're going to go ahead and build some very different rooms for my bedroom and then a similar one across the hall where my mini glow lichen farm is. I went with the Nether theme palette for these builds because everything down here is just starting to feel really repetitive. I think the contrast with Nether bricks, crimson wood, and the blackstone is going to help make the base feel just a little bit more unique. I also really like this basalt floor pattern. I think it's super simple to do, but just, again, really unique.
The only bad thing about the nether materials is that I really don't have much of them. There's been a lot of travel back and forth, but I cut that one out just for you guys. And honestly, that's just another reason why I need to start making a piglin bartering farm. Maybe soon? Anyways, we finished up the bedroom with some armor stands that are supposed to kind of be like bodyguards, a cool little carpet, and some fun lighting. So it's pretty much rinse and repeat for the glow lichen farm. I kept the same style and pattern, just with a few tweaks here and there. I also totally didn't have to rebuild the farm a bunch of times and then discover it's not centered with it because it's an odd number of blocks, but you get the point. I definitely wouldn't recommend looking closely if that bothers you. But overall, I really like these builds and I feel like they add a lot of life to the base and just kind of helps connect it all together. I know it's not really a mega project like my last episode, but it's something that I've been wanting to do for a while. And plus, I need to make sure I don't get too burnt out on all these huge projects. Especially because next episode we're gonna start the city, so make sure you stick around to see that. And before we wrap up today's episode, there's just one more thing we need to do. Yeah, it's about time we move this. It's only like 200 or so days off now, but don't worry, I'm just gonna go put it with the other monuments. This will be the last monument we have until 2,000 days, so I'm gonna make sure to take care of this one. But until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Building the map room is something that I remember really fondly. No, it's not a mega base or a huge build or whatever, but it is something that I think I really needed at the time. You see, I had worked really hard on some mega builds like this castle behind me, and for such a long time I had all of my builds planned out. That was until I made the map room. One day I opened up my world and decided, you know what? I'm just gonna make this thing because I want to. And now that's a theme I try to follow a little more closely these days too. Yeah, it's important to be structured, but it's more important for me to enjoy my world and not get burned out. At the end of the day, I do this because it's fun. I enjoy it. It's a passion of mine, not my job. That being said, I do love big projects, and in the next episode, we're gonna start another one that wouldn't be finished for some time actually. But to this day, it's one of my favorite things I've ever built. What is it exactly? I'm glad you asked. It's a real... I love my base. I mean, why wouldn't I? It's great. But the area around it is a little lacking. That's why today we're starting a project that is probably going to take years to complete. That's right, I want to turn the entire landscape around the castle into a massive city. So let's get to work and make the city I've always dreamt of. For the first building in our city,
I've decided to keep it similar to the palette of the castle. Almost like the people who built this look up to the king or the royals and wanted to mimic what they have or honor them even. Just a little side note here too, I'm not sure why my skin didn't render properly in some of these replay mod files, but hopefully you guys can forgive me. And yes, I'll be trying to come up with just a little bit of lore for all these builds. I think that'll make it a little bit more immersive and more fun, honestly. And also, I think it's a cool way to get you guys involved with the world. Alright, and now that it's done, let's check out the interior. You know, not only do I want these builds to look cool on the inside and the outside, but I also want them all to serve some sort of purpose, whether that be a farm or, in this case, just a place to write down my ideas. I think it's a little cooler to have it in here where I can, you know, check them off with different colored dyes, and you guys can kind of follow along rather than me having everything in my notes tab on my phone. Also, some of these are a little spoilery because this is the future, but let's ignore that and just take a look at how cool this chandelier looks. I wanted to try my hand at doing something like this, which, you know, I've never really done before. I think it turned out pretty nicely. What do you think? This next build draws heavy inspiration from one of Legend B's builds. I really love the shape he used, and I wanted to recreate that while making it my own. I'll leave a link to the video below so you can check out his channel. He makes some great stuff. This building, or rather 3 buildings in one, is called the Prickly Pub, and you guessed it, it's a pub that also doubles as a cactus farm. Now, the farm was pretty tough to fit inside of here, and I designed it myself, so it's not going to be the most efficient, but it should be running in the background since it's right by the base. And that goes for most of the farms around here. They're not going to be the most efficient, but it won't matter since it's going to be running in the background. Plus, I don't really need a ton of cacti. Alright guys, and here it is, the interior of the Prickly Pub. I'll hide the HUD there for a second so you could see. I just kind of went for a more, cozy, traditional kind of aspect, you know, with all these different banners, the different paintings there, and then like some shelves. Maybe they, you know, they're storing some of their cactus juice or whatever you want to call it, whatever they're distilling here, and then maybe some armor and stuff from around the city. I think the lure for this one, it's more so that this was, you know, multiple buildings at one time and it's kind of been repurposed over the years, but it's finally found its home as a long-lasting staple of the community where they have all kinds of, you know, good food where you can come down, sit with your friends, enjoy a nice drink from the cactus juice. So we got these little taps here, and then you can also see where they distill it. And I thought it'd be a cool feature as well. You could see all the way over into the other little tower over there, which I think is kind of neat. Like you can watch the gin or whatever get distilled here just from the outside if you're passing by. So yeah, I think that's kind of a little bit on the lure, but you know, feel free to add more in the comments down below or chime in, let me know what you think. Down here, I guess it's kind of like the maintenance room or like, you know, extra storage, just kind of like some shelves, whatever here, very low ceiling, kind of like dirt floors. This, though, is something that I want to take another second and talk about, and this is my little, I guess I call it a credit book. So you can see in here, before I had mentioned that Legend B was the guy who really inspired me for this build. I kind of, you know, took that shape that he had and then changed it, tried to make it my own. So anytime that I build something, not only do I want to give them credit in the video, like I did earlier, but I also want to include a book, you know, with the link to that specific video or that creator's channel, just, you know, as a nod to them and a way to, you know, remember who I was inspired by or remember who helped me, you know, create this, or maybe whose design I just, you know, straight up used, just a way that, you know, especially too, if there's a world download ever, that we can, yeah, really thank them for helping me out here. So that's a fun thing I'm going to be doing. You'll see some more of that later in the video. I also have this chest, which is the output from the cactus farm. No, it is not this efficient. It has been just running for a long time since this was built. This was built, you know, God, probably a couple months ago. Spoiler alert. But yeah, that's the basement. The
also have this nice little brick fireplace, and I like the idea that this has been here for, you know, a long time, maybe through a couple different buildings. And as we can see up here, we have some more storage, you know, making it a little cluttered. Maybe these are getting shipped out sometime soon. Then maybe a big one that you can, big table rather, that you can reserve for family and friends if you got a big event. Couple more little seats, little dining areas with some nice window views, which I'm going to avoid for spoiler reasons. And then we just have a couple extra little taps here where maybe you can get a refill or try different juice. Kind of saw this downstairs, but I'll fly inside here and show you guys what's going on. This is, you know, there's also a third tier. We got 1, 2, 3. Well, yeah, and it's not lossless. There we go. It's not lossless. But I did my best, and you know, these hoppers around the back here collect most of the additional loss. But basically this works by just the cactus grows, it hits into, oh, there we go. You can see it in action. See, the cactus grows, it gets broken, it apparently gets stuck here. I need to fix it, but it grows, gets broken, falls down, and the idea is it goes into these hoppers and then ends up back in this chest down here. Our next build is nearly identical to a build by Sunny Sev, but just with a few minor tweaks to make it my own. I'll be sure to link her video down below, and please make sure to check out her channel. She has some really awesome content. Inside of this build, I want to make a 2 tall flower farm. Why, you ask? Well, I don't really have a great answer for that, but one day it might come in handy. And I really want to have a farm for everything so that one day I can be lazy. Anyways, I'm putting a 2 tall flower farm in here whether you like it or not. I'm also doing the redstone myself, so that means it's going to be needlessly complicated. But I'm at the stage where I'll sacrifice function for form any day. I think this place is great. It's so cute and unique, which is really the vibe I'm going for with this part of town. On the inside here, the first level, we have our 2 tall flower farm. So we have peonies, lilacs, and on this side, roses and sunflowers. Basically how this works is, and the redstone's a little too compact, or I'd walk back there and show you myself. But basically this dispenser is turned on by this lever, shoots out bone meal, and then there's a hopper underneath that picks it up and runs into this chest. So let me show you. Check it out. That all gets picked up, and now we have, 61 lilacs. All right, let's head upstairs. This part feels like a little more creative, you know, as opposed to the primarily redstone downstairs. So yes, there is a lot of storage up here. Just supposed to be a lot of, you know, different pots and things where they might keep the flowers. But I also have this little desk here, a little creative space, because the lore for this build is that this used to be owned by, you know, an elderly husband and wife. And when the wife had passed away, her husband decided to, you know, keep pursuing his passion for art and writing in this little space up here. But he knew how much this flower shop brought joy to his wife. So he went ahead and he still runs the day-to-day operation. So that's kind of what's going on here. I know, such a heartwarming story, but he's, you know, keeps her memory alive by following her dreams of the flower shop while pursuing his dream of writing and creating art. And then, of course, as mentioned before, I have the credit book that I kind of keep up here on his desk. And this one goes to Sunny Sev's build. That is a tongue twister. But again, she is a really awesome builder, has some really great hardcore content if you're looking for more to watch. So all credit to her for this design. And yeah, hopefully one day if I do a world download, if I do a world download, this will be here for you guys as well, but the link should be down below too, so check her out. So at this point, we're a few buildings into this part of town, but we haven't really come up with a name for it yet. I mean, every good city needs a name. And good news, I have a great name. But I'm not quite ready to share it yet. Yeah, sorry, I know that's not exactly what you guys wanted to hear, but let me know what you think I should name it in the comments. How about I give you a name of this section of town?
Does that sound fair? Okay. This area is called Midtown. Not because it's mid, although it's not done yet, so that's kind of tough to tell. But no, because this is going to be the central focus of the city. Lots of colorful, vibrant buildings, and a ton of important places here. No deep dive of this one really because, well, it's tiny. I don't know what I'll do with it. I just thought it'd be really cool to have another sort of watchtower. You know, almost as if the castle used to extend this far, but hundreds of years later, it's inched back to where it is now. Let me know what you think I should do with it. Just stopping in to say if you're enjoying yourself so far, maybe subscribe. Like I said at the beginning of the video, this project is going to take ages, so stick around if you want to see how the rest of it goes. Okay, for our final build of today, we have one straight from the mind of Mr. ztVypr, which is me. That's me, I'm him. For this one, I wanted to combine some unique colors and blocks that I don't use a lot of. I'm really trying to push myself with my builds. I feel like the more uncomfortable I get, the better things I create. This build is no exception. It uses looms, honeycomb, composters, shroom lights, bamboo, and more. Some odd blocks that really don't seem like they'd work together, but honestly, I think it's turning out well. Splitting it up into multiple spaces, but still having them combine works really well, especially with a block palette as wild as this one. The inside of this build is a little bit different than the others. As you can see, this one is definitely a little heavier on the farming aspect of things. So inside we have a ton of farms, but let's start over here. Basically just some extra water bottle storage. The only like nice looking, less functional part of the build. And that is all for our mud farm. This right here is basically a really quick way. And then I have to use this shovel because otherwise my shovel here is too fast with efficiency 4. But basically just a quick way to get lots of mud and apparently break some glass. Not the greatest thing ever, but not bad. Comes in handy for sure. Gonna need a lot of mud in the next episode, so stay tuned for that. Then over here, we have this basalt generator. Now, unfortunately, this is not really functioning right now because it had burned down some of the wooden parts back here. So this guy is offline for right now. But then if we go upstairs, we have a couple little micro farms, and I'm going to turn that off because it's probably really loud and annoying, but this is just a micro like mini crop farm. And then over here we have a cocoa bean farm. So basically these shoot out bone meal, even though I need to build a bone meal farm soon. These shoot out bone meal, and you can constantly break the cocoa beans there and just get a ton of beans. And I think, yep, I got a couple stored over here. Over here, we just have a couple of notes on how to use the mud farm, which was designed by Il Mango, by the way, as most farms are nowadays, or at least a lot of them. He's great. And then, yeah, in the center here, I wanted to, you know, add a little more decorative stuff. And you can kind of see where the top of the build goes. So definitely a little bit of empty space there, but that's okay. As for the lure for this building, I'm not positive, so you guys can definitely change my mind in the comments. I was thinking maybe an old tinker, mechanic, or somebody bought this space and, just kind of turned it into his workshop, where he has all these wacky inventions, hence all the random farms and like zero livable space in here. But let me know what you guys think. Either way, I'm super happy with how this build turned out and how the whole city is shaping up. Next episode, I'd like to finish up this section of the city. That means more builds, paths, trees, and whatever. Anything to tie this place together. This is really just the first step in turning the world into one big connected story. And honestly, I couldn't be more excited. But until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. This episode was a really big turning point in the world for me. I think I really started to find my style in this episode, and not just in terms of building, but in editing and just kind of the overall vibe that I wanted to bring to my world and my videos. Speaking of building, this was some of the most fun I've ever had building. It was just so exciting to be working on my dream city and to build something a little bit outside of my comfort zone. I did take loads of inspiration from other builders that inspired me to get started on the project, but it's the next episode where I think things really start to come together and the buildings really shine. Speaking of next episode, let's jump into that, right? We made a lot of progress on the city last episode, putting in 9 new builds, or I guess technically 4. But today, we're gonna finish this part of town. That's right, I'm talking more builds, paths, trees, walls, and whatever. So buckle up. Things are about to get real. Once again, my skin isn't rendering properly, but it's fine, whatever. I'm not upset about it or anything. This build was designed by Grey Sun Builds on Instagram. I just absolutely love this build and knew that I wanted to try replicating it in my world. I'm sure you've stumbled across their builds before, but I'll link their YouTube and Instagram below. Their stuff is super inspiring to me, and yeah, I think you'll agree. The reason I like this build so much is that it feels older, almost like this building has been here for a long time. I really want this part of the city, Midtown as I called it, to feel like a blend of old and new. Almost like the city is trying to revitalize this part of town, but there's still some old places that are holding on. Maybe some more historic places even. Alright guys, and this building is actually the town hall. So you can see it's kind of more of an administrative building. We got some filing cabinets here, some barrels and stuff for storage. Good stuff like that. Then at the desk here we have the computer and the mouse, the classic design from way back in the day. Little light. And then over here we're gonna have some very special guests in here soon, so stay tuned. Towards the end of the episode you're gonna see who is running the town. And then yeah, if I go into free cam here, you can see there's this little well, maybe not, this little chandelier that I designed. So yeah, nothing too crazy here, but I think the idea for this was, with the stained glass, like this used to be a church, like a really old church or a place of worship, whatever, and now it has been repurposed to be the town hall. So this is like the main administrative part of town. And then of course, as mentioned last episode, I have my little credit book here. So even though I was crediting Grayson earlier, I want to make sure that I have it, somewhere in my world, so that, if I ever do a world download or whatever, just to have and appreciate their work on these designs and whatnot. The next build is going to be a super useful one. Unlike some of the other farms I've built so far, this one is going to be super efficient. I'm of course talking about a wool farm. And what's the most important part of a wool farm? That's right, the sheep. You see, I want wool of every color, so I'm gonna need to get a lot of sheep. Luckily for me, I made this sheep pen like 800 days ago. So we can just move them over to the build and get started. With the sheep in place, it's time to get started. Actually, I'm feeling a little bit tired of building. I think I need a break. And I have the perfect plan. My armor feels a little bit boring, so I'd like to try to find some trims to make it a little more special. Alright, here we are at our first ship. I'm looking for the coastal armor trim. I'm not really sure how hard it is to get, but... Oh, well, that's lucky. Let's see if we can push that luck a little farther. You see, I have this idea to put some sniffers in town. That's right, I think they could be pretty cool. I mean, look at these guys. But sniffer eggs can only be found in warm ocean biomes. So I'll need to get lucky again. Maybe I can get one on the first try? Nice, first try. Now we just need to get a second one. It'll be easier this time, right? Okay, yeah, I'm feeling much better now. And more importantly, I'm ready to get back to work on the city. Let's get to it. Alright, this one might be a little bit loud because of these guys. Oh, and I missed a block there. You didn't see that. But yeah, guys, this is the inside of the sheep farm. So nothing, too crazy. Just simple pattern. And I thought that the beehives looked nice here on the floor. So that's where we get this, this top wooden texture from. Yeah, nothing too crazy. Just some buttons, some decorative stuff. Some wood, and if you guys see here, and actually check this out too, this farm's been working overtime. I mean, this thing is really efficient. I wasn't joking about that. But if we go up here, this is kind of my favorite part of the build.
you know, at least besides the functionality of the farm. So we've got a lot of, you know, glowberries and spore blossoms, hanging roots and whatnot. It's kind of, you know, creating this atmosphere, this very like lush, naturey kind of vibe that we have here. While the final 8 sheep are upstairs, and just, you know, some plants and pottery and whatnot in here. And then of course I have to mention that this build was inspired by Sweetly Starship on Instagram. So definitely check out their content for some more awesome builds. I find myself going back to their Instagram page there a lot, just kind of, you know, looking for inspiration and whatnot. And yeah, trying to be creative. So be sure to check them out. This next build is all original. I want to make something with a lot of contrast, so I decided to use some darker blocks on the bottom and then a very, very bright white roof. Dripstone in my mind is kind of really underrated, and I want to use it more. I don't know why it's taken me this long to use it, but yeah, great block. As for the rest, I added some fake windows, a chimney, and go figure, some foliage to tie it all together. Alright, the buildings in this part are all done, but it doesn't really feel like a city yet, you know? That's gonna come in this phase, where we connect it all together. The first step? A custom tree to give it a naturey vibe. I mean, this is gonna be an eco-friendly city. Custom trees are tough for me. I feel like I haven't quite mastered the art of space, but on the other hand, I don't want to go overboard and make it too full of leaves, you know? I did find a super helpful B-dubs video, and that kind of inspired me to make this tree, and it really taught me a lot about them. I'll go ahead and link that down below. Next up are some retaining walls. Midtown is sitting on varying elevation right now, and it definitely has some steep drop-offs. Wrap it up nicely and make everything a little bit cleaner. I'm just going around and adding in some retaining walls. This helps section off the city a little bit better and leave space for us to create lower Midtown in the future. Not that these walls look bad, but they're way too plain now. A little bit of variation will make them look like they've been here for a while. I mean, remember, this is an older part of the city. And for the next part, we'll need these guys. That's right, our sniffers are getting their own home. I tried to make it feel like there was some sort of alien flora and fauna here with the saplings, but you know they had to get their own custom tree too. And maybe the most important part is literally connecting it all together with pathways. I ended up swapping the cobblestone for mud because I think it looks better, and the mud makes an easier transition to the grassy areas. But it also lets us mix in other blocks like bricks to show that some parts of the road are so old that they've been worn away. Time for some more nature. I think right outside of the town hall, we need a little pond. Just something to spruce this area up a little bit. I mean, this is the center of town after all. A few ores at the bottom help make it shine, and then some coral and dripstone to finish it off nicely. Now that everything is looking connected, I just need to tidy it up a bit more and... Wait, what? It's done. Yeah, it's done. I didn't really want to drag this on too much, so I just finished everything.
I'm pumped about it. I mean, we have a new tree, finished paths, more walls, and most importantly, it feels like a connected world. So let's get up close and personal with it. So wow, lot to go over, but I figured we'd kind of start where I ended off last, was with this tree right here. So this is another, custom birch tree, kind of like that one over there, but we'll get to that. Yeah, again, these birch trees, kind of inspired by a really awesome beat-up short, actually, that I saw. I'll link that down below. Yeah, I just like the use of the diorite and calcite and sandstone kind of mixed in to get you some different colors, some lighter tones, and then maybe some darker ones down here mixed in with the birch. But yeah, here I'll give you a side view. I don't think it's perfect, but honestly, I'm pretty happy with it. I'm still learning a lot, still getting better, and improving building and clipping through buildings apparently. But no, just getting better at that and learning how to build trees as I go. Down here, I added in, these retaining walls and a couple little staircases going up to the castle itself, and, maybe upper midtown, or probably won't call it that, but something else. And the pathway you can see here kind of starts out as cobblestone coming from our, little underground village here. Worked on a few episodes ago. But yeah, if we go over this way, you can see this is where it starts to kind of blend into the mud and the packed mud and the granite and all those lovely things here with a little bit of stone. And we have a nice little side view of the sniffer pen. It looks a lot smaller over here, but I promise you guys, I promise they got plenty of room to move around in there. Heading over this way, just, some more storage kind of at the back side of the Prickly Pub that we built last episode. Not sure, maybe I want to do something with this. I don't know if I meant to keep that grass block there, but you know what? It's staying. So these were builds we worked on last episode, but I won't touch on them too much. But a big thing for me was just making sure, when I walk through town, like everything feels complete. Like when I look back this way, maybe barring up there, we have the walls and the pathways and everything. And then I come around this corner and, I have something to look at, right? I have the sniffer pen here with, the different fauna type stuff, drip leaves and the dark oak saplings kind of look like, they're from another planet or something. So that was kind of the idea there. Excuse me, sniffers. Oh, this, guys, the pond. This was so fun to make. I forget where I saw doing these little like cattails with the brown candles and the green stained glass, but super cool, super fun. As you can tell, I really like the what are these, pitcher pods? Yeah, oh, pitcher plants. Okay, but I really like these pitcher plants. These were fun. I had worked on this, when they were fairly new, or new to me, I guess. But yeah, you can see how the mud kind of dries out a little bit and blends into the pathways here. And maybe it doesn't, make sense to have a pond just right in the middle of town here, but in my mind, right, they're trying to make this area really nice, even though it's a little bit old, so they're revitalizing the town. Then if we cut through the flower farm, you have another view of the sniffer pen with, a little bit more mud, and you can see some of these areas with the grass and the moss. Maybe these roads are, a little bit more run down, and I made sure to add in some retaining walls around here as well. This area, not sure what I'm going to do with this or where this is going to cut off, but I did want to build a pathway all around here, and include some brick. So like, yeah, I mentioned before where you can see maybe like the road used to be brick, but it's been weathered and worn away, so you can kind of see the old road. And then down here is going to lead to some other builds, maybe next episode. Probably not. I have some cool plans for that, but this is actually going to be something next episode, so we'll ignore that. But we'll kind of cut up into town this way here. And
And you can see more pathways. Threw in some spruce rather. Sorry, some spruce slabs here. Just some more storage. I like the idea of, just having candles here. Maybe some parts of town we're going to have some like little carts coming through, like they're dropping off some storage. This part here, I don't believe I had shown you guys. This is a little market. I'm not sold on this design here. I kind of like the bottom, but the purple, I don't know. I think I just was going a little crazy with the colors. Wanted to add like one of every color here, and purple is the odd man out. But who knows? Let me know. We could change that. We also have this little market stall, and just some kind of storage thrown around here. This cool little water well design. I think I saw on Pinterest, I want to say it was Average Tuna, I believe. I know I find a lot of really cool stuff that they've designed. So again, shout out Average Tuna. Be sure to check them out. I kind of talked about this area as well. I think this will be a cool view eventually, when we kind of convert this lake a little bit, connect it up with the ocean, and then we're going to build, or I guess upgrade our town where we had, our starter base there. And some camels. Hi, camels. Let's see. I think there's a couple other places I want to show you guys. Just, around the back here. Tidied this up. Around the back here, tidied this up. And, just made it look a little nicer. And, some more views. And I do really like playing with the fog on now. And these, what are these clouds called? I forget. These better clouds, I think it is. Makes it look better. More aesthetic. Last little area here. This might be my favorite area, actually, walking through this little section of town. It's very just like run down, like kind of back alley that leads into the tree, which I've actually put these pressure plates down, kind of be like stone pavers, past a little like bird cage, birdhouse, hammock thing, whatever you want to call it. But these stone pavers, kind of like you might walk on them, but there's some missing. And then this little bench looking out at what hopefully is going to look really cool over the next few episodes. Want to transform this area a little bit, maybe step away from some city stuff. Just for a little bit though, don't worry. Oh, wait, and how could I forget the inside of this build? I never showed you because it looks like trash. Pretty bad in here, pretty small, but I think maybe like a little coffee shop, bookstore type thing, maybe both, would be fitting for this. Could be very nice.
Okay, well, that's it. I covered everything. Oh, wait! How could I forget? Okay, 1 second. Oh wait, did you think I was in charge around here? No. These guys make the rules. They only consult me for, the minor things around town. They handle the big stuff. Alright, now that's all. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Remember, this is only the beginning of the city, so there's still plenty more to come. I'm excited to see where the rest of this project takes us, but until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. This episode was super memorable and probably my favorite episode I've done, up until this point at least. Don't get me wrong, episode was great because we started Midtown, but this one just felt so awesome to work on. I think it's because Midtown is really the first big section of the city and we had finally wrapped it all up. We were getting it all done. Adding in these custom yet functional builds was great, but the pathways, trees, and other things tying it together just made this episode so much more special to me. And speaking of trees, I felt very inspired by the foliage this episode, and I decided to go all out with it next episode. What did I build, you ask? Great question. I decided that I was going to build Finally here. Fall time. Fall is my favorite time of the year. I think there's just something so magical about it. And today I'm hoping to capture some of that magic in our world. Lately, we've been doing a lot of building in the city, and don't get me wrong, I've been having a blast doing it, and I think it's turning out great. But lately, I've been feeling really inspired by the change of seasons, and I want to switch it up a little bit. Today, I want to take a break and build some farms. But not those kind of farms, like crop farms. I've designated this whole area over here to be a bunch of crop and flower fields, and who knows, maybe we'll even put a windmill or two there. It's no big city, but I think it definitely helps push our world forward a little bit. I've been excited to do some terraforming and building and just really immerse myself in the world with all kinds of nature and scenery and whatever else we want to add. But before we can get started on the fields, we're going to need a lot of crops, and to get a lot of crops, we need a lot of bone meal. But the only problem with that is, this is all the bone meal I have. So I guess that means we're going to have to build some farms after all. This farm was built by Basic Redstone on YouTube. It's labeled as a moss farm, but the great thing about it is you can use it to get bone meal as well. So both bone meal and moss, if you're looking for that, check out this video. The farm is great, it's super efficient, but there's only one small problem. When I went to switch it over to a bone meal farm, it didn't work. Yeah, I know that's kind of a big problem, but I ended up rebuilding it facing west, and this time it was totally fine. So I'm not sure why that's the case, but for whatever reason it was, and the important thing is it works now. Alright, the bone meal farm has been rebuilt, hopefully for the last time, but for the outside, I decided to just go with this little kind of hobbit hole design, as I think it kind of blends in nicely to the world around it, and yeah, it just fits nice on the retaining wall here. Also, I really have been wanting to build some sort of hobbit hole type thing since I watched Lord of the Rings again, so this was it. On the inside here, I did build an interior, so I kind of continued the retaining wall along the inside, or at least the top part here, and just threw in some kind of like storage, candles, whatever. And I tried to make it look a little bit more, you know, basement-y, a little more beat down with the dripstone here, which quickly become one of my favorite blocks to build with. But then the floor, we just have the granite mixed in with the brick. Over here we have the on-off switch, and I kind of like the cobblestone there. I just left that. I could replace it with dripstone, but we have our output chests, so these are where you can access, you know, all the bone meal that's come out of the farm. And then this little guy leads to some really crappy Viper redstone. But if we ignore that, yeah, just a hidden little door to get back here in case I need to do some maintenance on the system, or in case I want to go back here and AFK, which is what I've been using this little hole for. And you can tell that I've really been AFKing because not only do I have those double chests, but I also have 3 shulker boxes full. Yeah, I think this should be enough bone meal to get us at least started with the fields for today. But who knows, maybe I'll be back here for some more bone meal soon. Okay, yeah, that took a little bit longer than expected, but I think it was worth it because I have a lot of seeds. How many seeds, you ask? Well, see for yourself. 1, 2, 3 shulker boxes of wheat seeds, 2 shulker boxes of potatoes, 2 shulker boxes of carrots, 1 shulker box of beetroots, which, by the way, beetroots are like tough to get. That took ages. I think I used like 2 shulker boxes, maybe like 6 shulker boxes of bone meal just for this one of beetroot. And yeah, I don't even like beetroots, but whatever. That's fine. We'll plant them. I also, just for fun, got a shulker box of pumpkin and melon seeds because, you know, why not? Not even sure if I'm going to use those, but whatever. There's just some leftovers in here. And here are the beetroots from our madness. And then also some flowers, because I think it might be cool to add in a few, like flower fields or something. Not sure if we'll do that today, but we have them. So yeah. Now I just need to go ahead and plan everything out. right, so now you guys can kind of get a lay of the land. You know, what I'm trying to do here. I put these little logs in place to be the birch. Well, they're not going to be birch trees, but birch just kind of sticks out. This is going to be a custom forest at some point. I also built these 2 rivers, and then of course putting a lot of pathways around, you know, just kind of showing where the foot traffic's going to be. And then if I go up in the sky here, all around it or in between here, we are going to have crops. So these are going to be where our crop fields go. And this might be going later on. I haven't quite made up my mind yet, but we'll see when we get there. But yeah, let's just start out, get a crop field in place, and then I'll check back in with you guys. Alright, and that is the first field in place. This one is beetroot. And yeah, surprisingly enough, this one only took about 3 stacks. Which isn't a whole lot, but keep in mind, this is 3 stacks. We have to cover this entire part of the island. Maybe it's a good thing I went ahead and got a ridiculous amount of seeds. Have you guys ever wondered what an entire shulker box of carrots looks like all laid out? You have? Well, you're gonna have to keep wondering, because this isn't a shulker box of carrots. That's right. This is more, well, like a stack or 2 more. Could you guys believe that I thought this was only gonna take 9 stacks to complete? This. 9 stacks. Yeah, that was about 29, 30 stacks of carrots. That's like the underestimate of the century. So all I'm saying is it's a good thing I'm not a math teacher, because that's a whole lot of Viper math. Alright, so I wanted to talk a little bit about why I want to do this project. You know, am I going to be harvesting all these crops and using them for other things, or trading, villager breeding, or, you know, what's the big idea? Honestly, there isn't really an idea other than the fact that, I mean, I think this looks pretty cool. Like, I've really lately just kind of been on a kick for trying to beautify my world. There's a cat on my lap. Hello. Sorry about that, but anyways, I've really been on a kick of trying to beautify this world, right? Trying to give everything purpose. And I mean, how can we have a, you know, beautiful, thriving town if they don't have
anything to eat or any crops to export and whatnot. So I think that's kind of where the idea ties into the world building aspect of it. And also, I mean, just look at this view, right? From the crop fields, we have this gorgeous view of the city. And I hope that, when it's all said and done from over here, and you can already kind of see what I'm getting at, but we're going to have some gorgeous views of the land. I'm going to terraform these rivers and lakes and whatnot. We're going to have a big forest, something coming over here in the next few episodes. And yeah, just a lot of natural beauty and landscape to kind of tie into the city. So that's really the idea with this. There's no real purpose. I honestly have no desire to harvest it, although I have been having a lot of fun placing these crops. But the real idea is just to have something, pretty to look at, and makes sense too for the people in the village. Well, it's been a little bit since I've last checked in with you guys, since the last clip here, and I've been working hard. I have made some farms, like a lot of farms. Yeah, when I said a lot of farms, I wasn't kidding. I mean, there's even some that you can't see until I go over here. But I figured now would be a good time to walk you through it and talk about what we're going to do with the rest of this place, because, I mean, it looks pretty good right now. It looks pretty impressive. Obviously, these pathways are going to need a little bit of an upgrade, but yeah, we have plenty of wheat, potatoes, beetroot, carrots, all of the essentials right now. And I have some ideas for a few more things. Now here along the water, I want to do another potato field. But I think that instead of having the bushes here, it makes sense that maybe, we had a wall, almost like this wall at one time, retaining wall, kind of along the edge of the lake, but over time that has kind of crumbled, and you can see some of these rocks and stuff. But this is still work in progress. It was important for me when I was making these fields to be able to kind of navigate around all of them. The farmers that kind of work these fields need a way to be able to get through here, whether it's on foot, horseback, or, some combination of both. I also wanted to make sure that the pathways just didn't seemingly go nowhere. I want this to connect up with other parts of the world, even if maybe I don't have an idea what's going to go to that part of the world yet. I also wanted to make sure I just had a whole variety of crops around here because, well, these farms are intended to feed the entire city, and while it's not too big yet, it's going to be a lot bigger soon. I didn't plant you there. But the next big thing I want to tackle is this farm right here. Yep, this farm was, I think, the first one I made in the entire world. I know this was way back in episode 2, which was a couple years ago for me and probably came out, a little over a year ago. So it's safe to say this farm is pretty nostalgic for me. I'll hate to see it go, but I have a really cool idea for what's going to go here, and this farm just doesn't quite fit anymore. So let's tear it down. that's it. It's gone. It feels like a part of the world, like some of the history is now missing. I mean, that's how long this build was here for, but don't worry. I went ahead and saved all the materials from the build and have copied the schematic, so we're just going to go ahead and build it somewhere over there. Now, as for the windmill that is going to be replacing this, I've already designed it, and I've gathered up most of the materials, but it uses a lot of copper. Now, usually the only way to get copper would be to farm it all, right? Would be to build a farm, or just go out and gather it in the world. But in a recent update, they did just add a new structure, a certain chamber of sorts, you could say, that adds in a ton of copper. So I think maybe the best and most dangerous way to gather up all the materials would be to head there. Okay, according to my calculation, the trial chamber should be right about here. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and drink this. And then I think I'm also going to go ahead and put on my chest plate. As much as I love my elytra, I think that this is a good call, because something tells me we're going to need it in here. And don't worry, I have like 4 extra totems on me, just in case I need them. Now, what I'm really here for is copper, but to be honest with you, I wouldn't mind getting like a mace or two, so let's see if we can get some loot while we're here. Oh. Okay, I guess this is bad because these guys can climb up here. There we go. Are these strays? Yep, yes they are. Jeez. Alright, let's do this one. Oh, this is husks, I think. Oh god, he has a diamond sword. Okay. Okay. This is a little bit more horrifying than I imagined. Sweet. Nice, 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 okay. Start. It's a start. It's maybe not exactly what I wanted, but... Alright, well, I didn't get a mace or anything like that, but I think it's time to start going ahead and gathering up this copper. I'm gonna get a start on that. With all the copper gathered up, it's time to get started on the windmill. I think for the base, we're going to go with some tuff. Originally, I planned on using something similar to the retaining walls that I used in Midtown, but I decided to go with tuff. Tuff is a super fun block, and I just really haven't used it a lot yet. When I was in the trial chambers, I decided I was going to grab some of it. You can also see that on some of the flat sides, I'm using walls instead of full blocks. I think setting it back a little bit and letting us see some more of that wooden trim just really makes this feel a little older, a little more worn down. For the next half, I've gone with some diorite, calcite, and a little bit of smooth stone in there. As time goes on, I've tried to evolve my building, and instead of just randomly going ahead and placing blocks for texturing, I tried to make this a little more methodical and place some of these blocks where the shadows might be. For example, some of the parts that wouldn't see the light as much and would have more shadows on them end up having the smooth stone. The parts that are a little bit lighter, however, get the calcite, and then I tried to blend in between. Again, nothing too crazy, but trying to get better with that and keep it more realistic. The top section is where the copper comes in, and copper is one of my favorite blocks, I'd say. I just love that color, but it's hard to get, despite, having such a cool mechanic and being such a unique block. Or at least it was until the trial chambers were added. So now that I have access to copper pretty plentifully, I think I'll be using it more often. As for the blades of the windmill, or the actual part that's going to be turning and spinning in the wind, I took inspiration from one of Bars's videos because this part was always the trickiest for me. I think these are some pretty unique blades and I quite like it. I think it fits well, and the mangrove just adds that extra pop of color to kind of tie it into the fields around it. After that, I think we'll go ahead and add in some flowers around here just to make it a little bit more colorful. We have plenty of crops to feed everyone in the city, but I think now it's time to beautify it a little bit more. Alright, so I'm finishing up this little potato field. This one against the water's edge here. Kind of a little more abandoned, but I just can't quit looking up at the windmill. You guys, I'm just so happy with this. Dare I say I'm chuffed to bits with it. I mean, first off, the walk up here through all these fields is just so beautiful. We finally get over here and you really get the pop of color, right? You get the yellows and the purples and the blues and all this good stuff. I just want to take a second to walk around here and show you guys. Although these do need maybe lit up a little bit because I keep finding creepers in here. Yeah, all the different pops of colors. And to make these flowers, a little bit bigger, maybe a little poofier, I am, show you guys real quick, using this resource pack called Flower Clusters. Yeah, I'll just give you guys a little fly through of the windmill real quick. Nothing inside, but maybe one day we'll do like a wheat farm or something. Yeah, so cool, so cool. I'm really loving it. One thing I'd say I'm not super pleased with right now is that you can't really see the flower fields from over here. You can kind of get a pop of the color, but not a whole lot. It will look really cool from over here though when we build up this side of the city. But one thing I'm doing to make it pop a little bit more at nighttime is adding in some frog lights just underneath these leaves. Yeah, I like that. I think it'll also help illuminate the pathway, so maybe I'll put that everywhere else. That way I can kind of cut back on the torch spam. There's one more bit of business to attend to first. Last episode, I asked you guys for some help. That's right, I had the 3 cats that are the mayors of the city, and they all need names. And before we get back to work on the farms, I think it's time we pick 3 names. That's right, in my hand here, I have the names for these 3 cats. So thank you so much to everybody who submitted a name. Don't worry if I didn't select yours. There's going to be a lot more cats in the city, and I've written down quite a few more of them that I think would be pretty fun. First up here, we have Bismuth. Thank you to Furball Basil for this name. I mean, I think it's pretty fitting, right? You look like a bismuth. I did a little research, and I guess it's like usually like whitish silverous kind of substance, or like chemical or element. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. But I like the name a lot. I thought it was pretty unique, and yeah, fits him well. Next up, we have Mr. Macaroni. Thank you to Blazebird24 for this. I mean, this one's pretty self-explanatory, right? I mean, that's a great orange cat name. I mean, he does also look like a Garfield, which I saw a couple of you guys saying. But Garfield's not the mayor. He's too lazy to be the mayor, right? But don't worry, we got plenty of orange cats for Garfield. So, thank you everybody for that. And then last but not least, we have Miss Lucy. So thank you to Daniel Ramirez G for this answer. It's actually funny. I had a friend with a black cat named Lucy who looked just like this. So when I saw that, I knew it was meant to be. So something else that I've been wanting to introduce for a while is what I call the World Book. Basically, this is my fun, exciting way to stay more connected with you guys and more interactive with the community. Essentially, if you guys have a comment or a question or suggestion, whatever, and I end up liking it, I might feature it in the video and write it down in this book here, so that's forever immortalized in the world. it could be something funny that makes me laugh, or that you point out about my world I just didn't notice. Or it could be a simple question about the world, and we can do a sort of comment of the day kind of thing. What I have in here now are just the people I mentioned earlier that helped come up with the names of the cats that are going to be the mayors of our town. So again, don't worry if you're not in here yet, or if I didn't pick your name today. There's plenty more opportunities to stake your claim in Viper history and get your name into the world book. Well, that's pretty rare. Let's see, how quickly can I make a boat? Okay, not quick enough. Ooh. Alright, there we go. You are a feisty little one. Alright, and just like that, everything is done. Yeah, you heard that right, everything. Not just the farmhouse and the silo behind me. Although you guys will be proud because I did do the interiors for these one. Just don't look in the windmill, okay? So, here we have the farmhouse. Here we have the farmhouse. You know, I don't really know where this design idea came from. I had seen some inspiration just, scrolling through Pinterest, but I knew I wanted it to be a little smaller and have this sort of crane kind of, lifting up the wheat. Maybe they're preparing for winter or they're getting ready to load it into the silo, who knows? But lots of like random storage, bits and bobs around here, kind of like I would imagine a farm. Things are just a little cluttered, a little hectic. Just kind of like the inside here, right? We have a little sink. We have a couple of blast furnaces, a light hanging down. And then up here, the world's most dangerous bed? Yeah, dangerous bed. I mean, you could roll off this, get pretty hurt. But just some storage up here, crafting bench, some of the essentials. I like the idea that instead of like a chest or barrel, they're storing stuff here in pots. So that's kind of cool. And if we walk around to the back here, this is where our buddy Waluigi is. And yes, that is his canon name. That's officially what we're calling him. Maybe he'll stay here for a while. I wanted to put like a horse or a donkey here, but you know what? He's good enough. This is as close as you can get. But yeah, just add in some more details like the idea of the ladders and the mangrove shutters, I think really kind of tie it all together. We pass the storage here. We do have some lumber, and some boulders kind of chilling around here, some more storage and whatnot. But I like the idea, if I go into free cam here, I like the idea that, the farmers, they really wanted to use all of the space they had possible to themselves. So this kind of eventually became this overgrown potato field. And maybe, who knows, maybe this wood is used for this wood-burning fireplace that they have in there. That you didn't see on the inside, but I promise you it's there. Don't look it up, though. On the inside here, we have a pretty unique interior. Lots of storage, lots of hay, but then I like the idea of having the like little hay loft up here that eventually we could do something like storage-wise up here. I think I had mentioned in one of the previous clips, but eventually maybe there'll be like a wheat farm under here or like under the windmill. So maybe the output will come in here, or maybe I'll use this for like bulk storage. I don't know. As I'm walking back over to Midtown, I wanted to kind of show off some of these little lights on the pathways. Now, I did end up just going with the path blocks because, well, I want to get this video out in a timely manner. And honestly, the pathways look pretty good. I mean, yeah, they could use a little more detailing and stuff, but I think for right now, they're serving their purpose. And, you know, I'm going to have different types of paths around the world. So maybe here it makes sense that these have been worn down due to, you know, horse travel and whatnot. But basically, what I was saying before, these lights kind of help light it up so you don't have to have the torches everywhere. And if I place down a torch, well, there we go. If I place down a torch, you'll see that, yeah, you can't really have the path block. I'm clicking away here furiously. You can't have the path block with a torch on it. So I had to get a little creative with the lighting. I figure green frog lights are the closest to, you know, the nature of the bushes and the grass and the plants and whatnot. And last but not least is the blue orchid field. I thought it was important to kind of tie the fields into this area a little bit, you know, especially with the forest not being built up yet. And I just gathered up a couple stacks of these and really wanted to use them. I think it ties in nicely to all the fields around us, and who knows, I think you'll see some more fields popping up from time to time. Last thing before we call it quits on today's episode is how many seeds I used. So if you remember, all these shulker boxes behind me were filled to the brim before. I've used a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot, and I've also acquired a fair bit of junk in this process, so let's check it out. Starting out, we had 3 shulker boxes of wheat seeds. We're now down to a half of a shulker box, so we used like 2.5 shulkers. Same thing with potatoes. We had 2 shulker boxes. Now we're down to a half, so 1.5 shulkers of potatoes. Carrots were also 2 shulkers, and we're almost entirely out of these, just a couple of stacks left. Beetroot was only 1 shulker box, but oh my goodness, was it hard to gather. So yeah, only 4 stacks of beetroots left. Then down here, pumpkins and melons, I didn't end up doing anything with them, but I think they'll have a place in the future. Final count on flowers, still a good bit of flowers, but I did kind of use more specific ones, so some of these, like the sunflower and the pitcher plant, didn't really get used, and I ended up having to gather more off camera. And now for just some of the random junk that I got along the way. Some of this I had brought over here. Some of this was used in different builds. Some of this I just acquired throughout the process of it. So yeah. And then of course over here I have the empty shulker boxes just to commemorate all of the crops that were used. Alright, and if we look at our statistics here, I've placed almost 9,000 wheat seeds, 5,000 carrots, almost 5,000 potatoes, and then 4,000 beetroot seeds, almost exactly. That brings our total amount of crops placed to well over 10,000, maybe even more like 15, 20,000? I don't have the exact number. I planned on doing it, but I kind of forgot, so sorry about that. But I hope you can forgive me because that's all I have time for today. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. This is the episode that got me really excited to beautify my world. And yes, you will hear me say beautify my world 100 more times this video, and no, I'm not sorry about it. Okay, maybe a little sorry about it. This was a welcome change from all the building I had been doing recently, and the impact it had on my world was huge. I mean, this entire area was just open, empty space, spammed with torches, and now it still doesn't really have a functional purpose, but it adds a lot of lore to the world and makes it feel more real. Something that I've been chasing in my world more and more ever since. The thing I didn't expect in this episode? The amount of crops I would need. Yeah, there are well over 10,000 crops here, and I plan on adding more, like a fair bit more. So that's exciting for me. Little did I know though that the grind for resources was far from over. Oh no. Next episode, I quickly realized. Welcome back to my hardcore Minecraft world, where we've survived nearly 2,000 days. Last episode, we went ahead and tried to beautify the world by planting over 10,000 crops. We also started working on the layout for Lower Midtown and for forests that I want to build up here, and I think that's what we're going to be focusing on today. It's mostly the forests, but maybe we'll do a little bit of work over here as well. I think that there's a ton of great tutorials out there for custom trees, but when I was doing some research, I couldn't really find too much on how to make a custom forest, so that's what I'm hoping to show you guys today. You see, it's one thing to be able to build a custom tree by itself, but to be able to put it together with a whole bunch of other ones in a custom forest, that's a lot different, and honestly something that I think needs to be talked about a little bit more. So let's see what we can do. Before we get into that though, I do have a build that I want to put right here. You see, a couple episodes ago, I had asked you guys what you wanted to see more of around town, and I got this comment. And that really spoke to me. You see, about a year or so ago, I just started randomly designing buildings within my creative world, a lot of which ended up going into Midtown here, and I started trying to, find a place for them all. But there were a couple of buildings that never really got a proper place in the world, and I think this spot right here, yes, this one I'm standing in right now, is going to be perfect for a saloon or a tavern, and something that's really going to accent our forest and tie it all together. So let's go ahead and get started on this build. Alright guys, hello? Oh, he wants the carrots. Okay, I'm like, but buddy, wait your turn. I'm in the middle of something. But anyways, here it is, you guys. The tavern or saloon, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, like I said before, this is one that I had designed a long time ago. And I'm, been itching to get it into the world here, and this just kind of felt like the perfect place, the perfect, sort of setting. Well, perfect, setting or scenery to have our forest kind of encapsulating it in the background there. Yeah, so what, I'll go ahead and show you guys the outside of this. We have lots of just like little storage, like barrels, like maybe they're moving in some like, I don't know, beer or brew, whatever kind of thing you do. Just some anvils, maybe some like outdoor kind of seating. Little bit steep a drop off here, but don't worry, we're gonna fix that another episode. More storage, and then this kind of like almost like well that they sort of turned into like a balcony as well, as you can kind of see. But yeah, very cool, kind of like the well we have up in the town there, using it to pump out the water. And then pretty important, I have these signs here, but I don't have a name. So if you guys have any ideas for names, let me know down in the comments. I would love to hear, as I am open to suggestions. I'm not really sure what to call this one, so let me know what you're thinking. On the inside here, you can see we got lots of different tables with like these sea pickles kind of used as cups, some, candles, maybe somebody's having a candlelight dinner, bigger booth, and yeah, maybe they serve some food at the tavern here too. I don't think it's, super great, just just some bread, but we got all these different ones, and I wanted to kind of put, paintings and shelves and whatever all over the walls, because I don't know how many places like this you guys have gone to, but usually, right, they have a bunch of pictures or paintings. And I was even thinking of a couple places I've gone around town here where like they might take pictures with like all kinds of celebrities or whoever comes into the bar or pizzeria or whatever. So I wanted to kind of recreate that vibe in here. Then obviously over here you can go and order drinks, and I did put some smoke or like campfires down here, but it's not really showing through. I'm not sure why, but yeah, you got like kind of the kitchen, some bottles, almost like this is what they are brewing, and then same thing, right? They kind of have these on tap. The other thing you probably noticed too, and you might have noticed throughout some of my other builds, are these banners that are just kind of hanging around. Eventually I'd like to come up with lore for each of these. Maybe these are all like the different factions in town, or in the area, or like from Midtown. But for now, they don't really have anything. I just think they're cool, and I was just kind of playing around with banner patterns one day, and yeah, I stuck with these ones. Oh yeah, I also wanted to mention this this little like wizard tower. I think it's cool, like to the idea that they maybe have like a potion master or like a brewing wizard on staff here. There's not really any like tower inside, but from the outside it kind of gives off that appearance, so you guys can use your imagination here and kind of put the pieces together that way. All right, and real quick here before I forget, I'll just go ahead and put Mr. Alex 8963's name in here for giving us the idea for the saloon. If you want to make your way into the world book, then please go ahead, comment down below. Let me know what you want to see. Maybe send some positivity, or tell me what you enjoyed about the video. I like to include all sorts of things along those lines in this book, and I'm looking to fill it up more and more. And just because you weren't featured in it today, or you've commented in the past and I haven't gotten around to it, doesn't mean that it won't be added in there at some point. Trust me, I look at all my comments, and I've been adding a lot to my notes of things that I want to get to soon. So don't worry, I see you, and I appreciate you being a part of this world. And now, for the reason that you probably clicked on this video, the trees. Okay, so I want to make it pretty clear that if you're going to do this in survival, you need like a lot of leaves. That means whenever you're planning this in your creative world, or however you're doing it, make sure you think about the scale of it all. If you're anything like me, then you're probably going to want to go big or go home. But then about halfway through, you'll realize that you need, I don't know, let's say 12 shulker boxes full of azalea leaves, and then you'll realize just how in over your head you are. For a forest, I would say build 5 or 6 different trees, whether that's in a creative world or using a schematic in Lightmatica like I am. You're going to want to have a couple different ones. You don't need to have 50 different trees, say, if you're going to have 50 trees in the entire forest. You can have 5 or 6 of them, paste them around, and then rotate them to, give kind of the impression of they're all different. You can also take some of those trees and go back through and vary the leaf patterns, maybe change the type of leaves, or change the woods. I would recommend sticking with one type of wood mainly, but I mean, think about some forests that you might have seen in real life before. You're not always going to have just one type of tree, right? You're not just going to have oak trees. You might have some birch in there too. But I would say primarily stick to one and make that the main focus. Add some variation though. All right, and here's what we have so far. I really like these different trees, right? It's interesting, right? Because each tree individually, You know, they're okay. I don't know that they're my favorite trees I've ever built, right? Favorite ones I've ever made. But the whole thing about this, and a big tip that I'll give you guys is, it's not, you know, about the individual tree in this case, right? Like, this doesn't have to be your favorite tree, right? I like it, but maybe if I designed it again, there'd be some things I would do differently. But fly over here, right? It's about the big picture, right? We want to see everything as a whole, because you're not going to just see one of these trees isolated from one another. You know, you're going to see this as an entire forest. And by the end of today's episode, all of this is going to be one big forest. So think less about them as individual trees, but more about how they can work together. And speaking of working together, I'd like to go ahead and add some more trees, because this, I mean, it's cool. We have 10 trees so far, but this isn't really the forest that I had envisioned. So let's add a couple more. Now, the mod I'm using to build this tree is called Lightmatica. Now, you probably already knew that, but what you might not know about is the easy place mode, which is honestly one of my favorites. One of my favorite things about this mode specifically is that once you've already placed the schematic down, you can go layer by layer, you can do all above a certain Y level, or anywhere in between. I'm doing here is, if I go into the configuration menu, I'm basically just going one layer at a time, and then using the shortcuts on my keyboard, which is, I think, defaults to the page up and page down key. You can go ahead and, oh, there we go. You can go ahead and just go up a layer. So there's still a couple more layers to this tree, but right now we're only seeing the current layer. And since I'm doing all these trees as one big schematic, you can see the other trees as well. Then if I go up, now we're seeing these blocks, and you'll notice that when I page up or when I page down, all of these layers are going to follow. So now that I finished this layer, we'll go up to the next one and just complete these last few layers. And just like that, this tree is all done. Then I'll go ahead and set this back to all the layers, and we'll move on to the next tree. Now, I mentioned earlier about doing different wood types or different types of trees, and one tree that I want to include a lot of in this forest are these like sort of tall, thin, almost like sad looking pine trees, but I think the effect that it's going to give us is that we're going to be able to kind of see in through the forest a little bit more, and, you know, have kind of like the lower level of the forest be more accessible almost. I had mentioned, though, building with different wood types and whatnot, and you'll see me mix in a little bit of wood here, but I'm actually using more... Oh, I'm out of leaves. I'm actually using more mud and muddy mangrove roots. Now, I've actually seen that in a few places, but the place that I see it most up close and personal is with my buddy GP over on the Afterlife server. And if you're looking for more terraforming, custom trees, all that good stuff, I would definitely go check out GP's channel. Alright, now that's a good looking pine tree. You almost can't tell this isn't wood from afar, right? See those muddy mangrove roots? I'll tell you, they got that kind of wood-like texture, huh? Alright guys, I figured I would check back in here and give you all a little progress update. If I just land down here. There we go. So here's where we're at right now with the forest. It's coming together. I think I have like 20 more trees to place, which doesn't, well, it sounds like a lot, but honestly, it's not too many because I think I already have like 55 or something like that. So we're getting towards the end. Now, what I wanted to talk about with this little update is just the use of space and, you know, how much space you want to leave between your trees, or, you know, how dense you want it to be. Now, I did mention, right, I still have a couple more to place in here, but you're going to notice that this is much more dense, this part of the forest, right, as we get like a little closer to the tavern, because one, I wanted to hide, you know, maybe what's going to be on the other side over here just a little bit from plain view, and I wanted it to get a little more thin and maneuverable through here. Now, I did leave space so I can make a pathway coming through here. I don't know if it's going to be big enough to bring carts through or whatnot, but I like the idea that, you know, maybe people are coming through here and, you know, cutting through to this side of the farm, or eventually if we mosey on over here, and again, missing some trees here, but we're going to have some exciting stuff coming next episode over this way. Now, this edge of the forest is definitely going to have a couple more trees, but it's intentionally lacking right now because, again, thinking back to the use of space, I want to have a nice big open area right here because I want to make maybe like a little campsite or something like that where you can just, you know, look up and see the stars. And I think that's pretty cool as well to be able to look up at certain points here and see through the leaves. But other times, right, it's a little more realistic. Like we have all of these trees kind of clumped together and maybe makes it a little harder to see the night sky. So all things that you should think about when you are building your own forest. Space, density, all that good stuff. And you don't need to come up with the lore reason, but for me, I just like to think maybe the soil here is a little more rich, a little more fertile, so it makes sense that there's some more trees here. And maybe these ones, you can see they're a little bit older looking almost, so maybe they've been here for a while, and some of the other smaller trees like this are a little bit newer. Alright, and just a little light Matica tip for you guys before we jump into the final little time lapse here is whenever you're doing something as big as this, either one, make sure you light up your builds, kind of like I have with this torch spam right now, or two, disable entities because all of these creepers right here, they're not actually here. They were here when I copied the schematic from my creative world, but trust me, you're going to want to get rid of these guys. They have jump scared me a couple times. So again, none of these guys are actually here, but if you want to save yourself a couple of jump scares and a few heart attacks, then I would definitely recommend turning it off. Alright, and just like that, guys, the forest is done. Here it is in the its full glory. Let's go ahead and land down this open area I was telling you about before. Kind of land at this end, I guess. You can kind of see that... Oh, it's getting dark. That's dangerous. But you can see that, you know, I did add this little pathway here, right, that I think it's going to come through. This is going to be more of an open, like, camping area, and I want it to be, yeah, a little less dense here. And then as we go along, you know, we get closer to lower midtown around the bend here. It's going to be, you know, obviously a little bit more more dense, more trees. And guys, I gotta say, this took a long time. Like I was thinking this would be easy, you know, I had the schematic and everything. No. So that's just I guess another tip for you guys, that even if you plan this out, this is a big undertaking. I haven't counted exactly, but I want to say there's about 75 trees here. I'll show you over this way. We have all of the shulker boxes. Now I definitely overestimated a little bit on the leaves, right? So I definitely have, especially the flowering azalea leaves. But I mean, all of these were full. Most of these were azalea leaves, a lot more wood. So just again, make sure you plan accordingly for what you're going to do. The best part though is definitely looking at, I mean, the forest when it's all done. Now I am going to work a little bit on these pathways. I don't think we're going to get them all done today, but I want to do a little bit for you guys so you can kind of see what I'm envisioning. But I wanted to touch on something I brought up earlier, kind of going back into tutorial mode here for a second, is I mean, all of these, right, they're similar. You can see that some of these are pretty much the same or similar, but I have a bunch of different variations. So I want to say I have like 9 different trees, but you'll see like, we use these 2 trees as an example. This one over here, and then this one right in front of us. Now, they're definitely, you know, the same tree if you really look at them, but you can't really tell too much because they're rotated, right? And there's so much variation in the trunks and everything else. And then when you mix it in with some of these different types of trees or similar ones, you know, some of the ones with the mud and the muddy mangrove roots that I think work really well, you can't really tell, right? Again, we're thinking of it more as a forest and less of the individual tree, which again has kind of been the motto of this video. I will say too, you know, you'll see that I have some of these little like cypress trees and some of these bigger ones, but then most of the forest is made up of these pines, and I'll get us a better view here. So again, most of them are these like thin, scraggly little pine trees, but I really enjoy them, and I don't know necessarily that, right, these cypress ones really go with these pines. And again, here's another, you know, bigger, bushier pine. But don't let that limit you. You know, I'm definitely going for a realistic kind of feel here, but at the end of the day, I don't let that limit my creativity. So if I wanted to have, you know, maybe a couple birch trees in here, or maybe a cherry tree or something, it might not be the most realistic. You might not see them that way in real life, but then again, don't let that limit you. Don't let that impede what you want to do. And who knows, you might end up loving it, or maybe you'll want to change it. All right, guys, and here we are sometime later. I did go a little bit overboard kind of on decorating this area. But you know what? It was worth it. And I said I wouldn't do all the paths, and I didn't, especially in the forest over there, but I did a lot more than I intended. So just to kind of round out this area down here, you know, working on Lower Midtown, there's another build I want to do over here, probably next episode. A couple more things I want to put off over there, but I figured just add in maybe like a little pumpkin patch, like something for the city, or maybe, I don't know, they're getting ready for Halloween or whatever. In the center, I decided to kind of copy the little park bench we had up there, and maybe this is another like little more stony park, but you can kind of come here, maybe put coins in like the wishing well or the fountain or whatever. Yeah, just added some lampposts around here too, kind of aging the path, like maybe this way it gets a little more brickified as it goes down here, kind of because around here, you know, we had more of a brick path. And then as we go out this way more, we have more mud, more brick, and then, or less brick, and then eventually it's going to turn into that dirt. This was something that I thought was pretty fun. I've seen this in a couple other people's videos, and I wanted to do it for a while here in our world. So just kind of these signs telling you which way to go. So we have Lower Midtown, which we're kind of standing in right now. But then if you go this way, this is what I've called the farmlands, which is absolutely a play on the far lands. Yeah, we have fun here. But then the main focus of this video, right, the painted forest, and that's gonna be our name for this. And I'll show you guys why in a second. But again, here it is, and you can see the path. We're gonna walk along this in a second, but yeah, we have the painted forest. Now, I did kind of add in some foliage. Unfortunately, this, I must have missed a grass block or something, because this was all dirt like 5 minutes ago, so that's frustrating. Well, pretend this is dirt. I've just added in some like spruce leaves, kind of like bushes, foliage, ferns, whatever. Then like a little berry field here. Same thing with this boulder. And this boulder, the thing that I like a lot about this, I've been trying to play around with like sight lines and stuff more. Right, you kind of get glimpses of the windmill through there, and then the boulder kind of blocks your sight line. So then when you come up here, wow, you're met with this, you know, beautiful view of the windmill and this cliff that is in need of some work. But yeah, you kind of get this big opening to the farmlands, and then eventually, right, this is all going to be a river running underneath here. So still a lot of work to do on this area, but that's kind of the idea with sight lines. Another little, like, I don't know, tiny little patch of brush and bushes and stuff. But then we get into this area, and this is why I want to call it the painted forest, because much like the painted desert out in Arizona and stuff, right? That has all those vibrant colors and whatnot. I want to add in vibrant colors here, but maybe not so much with flowers. I mean, maybe a little bit, but I want to do it more with coral because I haven't really built with coral a lot, and I think it's, I don't know, pretty cool. Like, I've seen people add this in ponds and maybe even do fields of this, so I think eventually to have this whole area, maybe not the whole area, because I do like having, you know, these like open, like little grassy plains, but a lot of it, maybe some blues and some yellows, and to kind of complement these purples and pinks. So I think having, you know, these vibrant, almost painted colors in the forest is going to be really unique. And again, yeah, not super realistic, going back to the previous clip here, but it works, and that's kind of something that I wanted to do, right? I don't want to limit my imagination. And then lastly, we kind of move along this open area where eventually maybe we'll put like a little campsite, maybe a couple little tents, maybe even a fishing pond, who knows. And then we kind of make our way to the end of the forest, end of the pathway. I wanted to do a little bit more, but I ran out of coarse dirt, so it looks a little scraggly towards the end here, but yeah, we'll get to it eventually. Like I said, I'm thinking maybe a live stream or something to tidy this all up. And before we end the episode, I just want to say a very sincere thank you to all of you who have watched not just this episode, but this year in general, because this is going to be the last video I'm putting out for the year. And I always like to get a little bit reflective at this time. So a big thank you to every single one of you who have watched. At the start of this year, I set a goal to hit 2,000 subscribers. Now, we didn't end up hitting that, but I think I figured out something even more valuable. And that's kind of the direction I want to go with this channel. You know, keeping it more build focused and focused on beautifying the world, and, you know, less of pumping out these shorts and mega builds and everything, where maybe I would have been a year ago at this time. But I think this style really fits me better. I've really found my passion for the game again and have super enjoyed it. So again, just thank you so much if you've been part of this journey. And I know maybe I didn't hit all the goals I wanted to this year, but I'm totally fine with that because I think I found something more important to me. So with that being said, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Ah, the painted forest. What a fun project. Dare I say my favorite project of the series so far? I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that, but I think maybe, probably, yeah. Anyways, I think the funniest part about this episode to me was that I thought it would be a really quick one, like a filler episode almost. In fact, I wasn't sure that this was going to be exciting enough for you guys, so I decided to add in the tavern and this whole section of lower Midtown behind me. Yeah, not my brightest move, huh? It was a real grind, let me tell you, but I mean that in the best way possible. The hardest part was getting all the leaves, and just the crazy number of trees here. I think there's 75 or so? Just warning you guys, trees use a lot more materials than you think. Regardless though, this was a super fun project and one that I'm itching to work more on. Yeah, that's right, this isn't quite done yet. But before I can finish up the forest, there's one more thing that I want. Today in my hardcore world, we're going to be turning this into a massive custom mountain. So be sure to stick around to the end to see how this one build will totally change my world. Before we go ahead and change the world though, we're going to need to get rid of this little forest. I mean, I already built a custom forest over there last episode, and this has really just been sitting here for, I don't know, the last 1,000 days doing nothing, so as much as it'll pain me to see it go, it's for the best. All right, with those cherry trees out of the way, or most, got a couple leaves decaying, it's time to get started on the outline of this mountain. Now, a little bit of backstory for you guys. A couple of months ago, I decided I was going to do this massive terraforming project, and I decided to go ahead and make an outline for it. Now, little did I know when I started it just how big it was going to be, but trust me when I say this is a pretty big undertaking. Let's take a look at it, shall we? So here it is, the mountain in all of its outline glory. This is huge. This is like a little bit absurd. Honestly, I'm kind of starting to regret it. And I mean, I think it's going to be awesome. But I don't know, guys. I'm having regret. And also, apparently, I forgot how to copy schematics without this snow and junk. Okay, oops. But yeah, as you can see, this is going to take up a massive portion of the island here. I mean, the funny thing is too, it doesn't go all the way down because I did this on my super flat world. So I'm going to have to add a little bit more. But the scariest thing of all, when we open up this materials list, 5,000 stone. Yeah, but that's just for the outline. So this, right, just the outline of it is going to be 5,000 stone. So I'm thinking this might be a bit of a green job, and that I'm not going to do the back, or at least today, because that's going to be a lot. Let's see. Let's check in with me in a little bit and see if my sanity is still even kind of intact, and we'll go from there. Alright, you guys, so I am a little bit of the way done with this. It hasn't been too long since our last little progress update, or I guess since I started, probably, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes since the last clip. Yeah, and again, it hasn't been too bad. I mean, what definitely is tough is one, at night, definitely sleep through the nights. This place becomes a bit of a spawning zone for mobs. And the other thing I would say is you guys just don't understand how tough it is to get back up here if you fall off. Like, landing on a one block thing like this is kind of a pain, kind of really tricky. So yeah, definitely wouldn't recommend. And I know you guys don't know this because you're not stupid enough like me to design a crazy mountain and try to do it all in survival. Yeah, that's on me. I'll take credit for that one. And the other thing I wanted to mention here while we kind of make our way down from what's going to be the top of the mountain is this great video I just watched by Schuler talking a little bit about terraforming, which shout out Schuler, great video, you should check it out. He does some great terraforming and stuff. So yeah, definitely worth a watch. But the one thing he mentioned was terraforming to scale. Don't just make a massive, huge mountain for the sake of making a massive, huge mountain. Come up with a, reason for it, or come up with, I don't know, just try to make it fit in scale. And kind of starting to dawn on me that I don't have a, huge inspiration for this mountain. This is just kind of a a mountain for the sake of putting a giant mountain in my world. So I think before we finish this, before we fill it in, I'm going to try to change that because, to be honest, yeah, I am not so sure what I'm going to do otherwise. So I guess I got to start getting mountain inspiration. On a more positive note here, I did want to point out just how cool everything that we did last episode looks from up here. I just turn this off. And I mean, if we imagine, use your imagination with me, guys, make sure, you know, we pretend this mountain is complete. But I mean, look at this. Just looking at the trees through the fog, and the river is going to run through here, right? We're going to have a little waterfall coming down the mountain. And I know it's going over there too. You don't, but I do. And yeah, I am just super excited and like really inspired to play on this world. So if you haven't already, now's a great time to subscribe and stick around so you can see all that later. Oh yeah, there we go. The shameless subscribe. Shameless subscribe plug. I bet you thought I was above that. Nope, I'm not above anything. All right, the sun is shining and the outline of the mountain is done. Now, those of you with a keen eye are gonna realize, right, the still doesn't reach all the way down. And yeah, we'll get to that later, but this is what I had in the schematic, and it actually came together like fairly quickly. I mean, now the tricky part is just gonna be filling this all in. But I'm kind of excited. I've been looking at a lot of different inspiration for it, trying to get some ideas, you know, from Pinterest, real life, other Minecrafters and whatnot. So let's see what we can do with this. So I think for this top part, the idea is that it's going to be, you know, like snowier, and same thing for those peaks over there and this one here. But I think that it's going to be snow, and I'm going to kind of mix that in maybe about here with some calcite and some diorite to kind of give it that effect, like, you know, the top of the mountain. Oh, I don't think I want that there. Is, you know, covered in snow. So that's what we got going on here. Alright guys, I have the first little snowy peak of the mountain done. Let's check it out together. This will be my first time seeing it too. And yeah, okay. Not bad. I'm not sure how I feel about the diorite, or like snow kind of cuts off pretty abruptly. I think I'm gonna have to go back through and make some tweaks, but not a bad start. The other thing you may be wondering is, have I done the back yet? What are you, a cop? Alright, fine, you got me. I haven't done the back yet, and I don't know that I'm going to right now, but I'm definitely going to work on the front some more, and we'll go from there. Let's see how much time the rest of this takes. Alright, how's that? The progress has been good. It's definitely been a little bit slow. I'm going to show you guys in a second, but the real reason for this is, well, check it out. We're on day 2000, and I didn't even realize. I've been just kind of
grinding away at the mountain here on day 2000. But yeah, we did it. So thank you so much for sticking around for these 2000 days. Obviously, we still got a lot of episode to go, but yeah, I just wanted to step in and celebrate it here on the official day. But milestones aside, I want to show you guys this little shadowing, or I guess shading you would call it, that I've been working on, just with some basalt, deep slate, tough and cobblestone. And the idea here, and you've probably seen other people do it, but just kind of like right these little darker patches where maybe the light doesn't hit them as much, gets these darker blocks and almost creates a kind of shadow effect. And yeah, it's again hard to see with all the like wireframing around here, but I do really like it. I think it looks pretty awesome. So I'm excited to add some more of this into the mountain. All right, guys, we're doing the thing. The thing is doing. It is coming along. I also want to take a second and just appreciate like how cool the forest looks from here, and especially the tavern. I know we're gonna do a little work over here later. If I start to lose my sanity, might change it up a little bit, but looking pretty good. The mountain, that is. I mean, everything is. Whoop, we're losing altitude. We'll just land down here though, and you know, let's go into free cam anyways, because it's I mean, it's looking pretty good. It's come a long way. This has been a lot of placing stone. You can see it is all pretty much stone until we get to the top. I do want to change that. I want to add in some more of these little highlights and stuff, but I probably should have designed this in creative first. I'm not gonna lie. This has been a lot. There's some things that are a little like too rigid and then a little too flat. But, you know, it's a process. We're getting there. What has been a little bit frustrating is, you probably saw at the end of that time lapse there, I've been running out of stone, right? I started with, like, I want to say 8 shulker boxes full. I've had to go down around my super smelter here and dig out this entire area to keep the stone flowing, so to speak. So yeah, that's been a little bit frustrating, but I'm stocked back up on it now. Well, actually, I guess I should get some more, but we're getting there. So maybe this was a little bit ambitious, but we're gonna keep going. I'm gonna see if I can get this thing down another layer before I totally lose my mind, and then after that, it's just gonna be adding in the final layer, connecting it up to the bottom, which I don't even have any wireframing for. So that's going to be the real challenge. But stay tuned to see if I actually finish this thing, like, ever. I think I'm going insane. Now, I'll be honest with you guys. While I am super happy with how the mountain is coming along so far, there's a big problem. I maybe didn't light it up super well under here. Yeah, and these guys are kind of taking care of themselves, but they're not the ones I'm worried about. Ooh. You're not happy with me. This looks a little easier to light up, right? Okay, this isn't too bad. A little close there. Oh, come on. I didn't look at you. Let's just kind of go around the edges for now. A little bit, maybe. Alright, you know what? If I can get this lit up... Okay, nope, that's a bad idea. Yeah, but Smart and I lit up some areas, but not all of it. Yeah, see, these are the guys I'm worried about. If I fall off into here,
gonna have a bad time. Well, after minimal arrows to the face and only putting my life in a little bit of immediate danger, I think it's time to get back to work on the mountain. Alright guys, a quick little update for you. I've done a lot more. So we are now all connected up here on the bottom, as you can see. And it's coming along. I think the coolest it looks, or, well, maybe not the coolest, hopefully not the coolest. God, I'm doing a lot of work for the inside to look the coolest. But it's just crazy to me to see how much space this is actually taking up. You know, from the inside here. I did light this up so that none of the mobs... Oh! None of the mobs... You didn't see that. There's nothing there. What are you talking about? So none of the mobs, you know, can spawn in there or kill me. Because we are going to do some stuff in there eventually. Not today. And I think I've decided we're going to save texturing and stuff for another day. Because, well, to be honest, I... definitely bit off a little more than I could chew here. I did not realize this was going to be such a big project. This is probably like, I don't know, a bajillion stone. And I don't have nearly enough andesite and light gray wool and all that. So we'll be taking care of that later. And yeah, again, I could have probably done a couple more updates in here. That's on me, but you know what? I don't know how interesting that's going to be for you guys. So there's another progress report here or there, and I gotta keep the engagement up. I don't want you guys clicking off the video. So if you're about to click away, please don't. You'll make me cry. I've already lost my sanity for this video, so the least you could do is stick around to the end, right? Right, guys? Come on. And if you stick around to the end, maybe we'll have some fireworks, huh? You like fireworks, don't you? Yeah, you do. So stick around. It's going to be a good time. Lots more to come. More than just a mountain, I promise. Alright guys, and there it is. The mountain is done. Entirely done. Nothing going on in the back there that isn't complete. It's all done. And I mean, dude, just look at this. I mean, sure there's some texturing and stuff, right? It's all pretty bland, pretty stone. Did a little at the top there, right? Like I mentioned, but I think this is where I'm going to have to leave it on here today for my sanity, because I mean, just... if I go on a free cam here for a second, I mean, just look at the scale. I mean, a couple episodes ago, right, we did the forest, we did all these crops. Ooh, chunks aren't loaded, but, you know, we did all these crop fields and stuff, and these are, you know, surprisingly big projects. But I mean, look at this, dude. I've never done anything on this scale, at least in survival before. So I am super proud. And the fact that, I mean, I was able to get this done in like... I don't know, probably less than a week, maybe about a week. Like, it's pretty impressive. I'm pretty proud of this. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this massive build. But like I mentioned before, we are not done yet. The party doesn't stop there. Yep, that's right. We are not done yet. If you remember earlier, I mentioned wanted to do just a couple more like housekeeping things, but I feel like I've done so much of this mountain and just no like real building, just placing stone so much. I want to add in a build right here behind me just to get something, you know, nice with a scenic backdrop of the mountain. And I've had the materials collected for this build for a few episodes now. That also kind of rounds out Lower Midtown that we were working on last episode. So let's get to it. Sit back, grab a snack, and enjoy this time lapse. Alright guys, there it is. The lava farm is all done. And I mean, I just love seeing the mountain in the background here. I mean, how cool is this? This just, I'm really excited. It's been a stressful project, right? I've been losing my mind, but it's been worth it. And this feels, yeah, maybe a little bit random, but this was something that I had built a long time ago, and, something just to have some extra fuel around. I do want to rework the super smelter here shortly. So I think just having a nice fuel source like this is going to just be really handy. And plus, I mean, it's kind of, I don't know, a little bit different for what we have in the Midtown area, but it kind of fits the vibe of just like these like random colorful buildings. This one's almost like a little more modern with like the slanted kind of roof, but I was trying to keep it, I don't know, kind of keep it in the same vein as the other ones, we'll say. But I do like having these blocks here, almost like, you kind of half get the idea now, but I want to have this like crimson, nylium, whatever, kind of like bleed into the pathway whenever I complete this. So I just kind of added some more walls in here. I'm sure this will change over the future, but just so you guys get a rough idea. But with that out of the way, we do have a few more things to get to today. So the next thing we're going to do here is add in a waterfall to the mountain. Now, I've mentioned before and in a lot of videos in the past that we're going to have a river running through the valley here. And I think that it makes sense that it's coming from somewhere maybe inside of this mountain or towards the top of this mountain. Now, I don't think it's going to look great today, right? I've already said I'm not doing a whole lot of texturing and stuff, and I'm sticking to that, man. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. But I do want you guys to get an idea of, where we're going with this in the future. So let's go ahead and add in, even if it's just a source block or two, so you can kind of get a picture of where this river is going to be, how it's formed, how it's created, and all that good stuff. And I want it to land down here in this like little ravine thing, kind of. Yeah, there we go. Okay. That's more like it. That looks a little bit more impressive. Kind of like curves and changes and yeah, something like that. I don't know. I might make it so that it just flows down in like one single stream, but maybe not as impressive. It could be cool though to make the river like a, not a secret entrance, but like you swim in through the river here and then, oh my gosh, look, we're inside of the mountain. Woo! I don't know. Just spitballing here, but that's another thing done off the list. The next thing I want to do is go ahead and update this map because, I mean, look at it. We don't have the forest. We don't have like any of Lower Midtown, and we don't have the mountain at all. So I think it's time to do that. And I want to try out a new trick as well. All right, so I have a couple of banners in my inventory here, and I want to try adding some named locations onto the map. So obviously we have Midtown, that's going to be one, but I also want to name the castle and the forest. But first, let's just go ahead and update these maps. I don't know if because I'm right here. Okay. There we go. Is that the forest? Well, I guess, yeah, because it has a lava farm. Wow, Oh, I just broke the glowstone. Please hold. I don't know, I guess I thought that would be more impressive. Well, there's the mountain. Now that's pretty impressive. Jeez. That's like bigger than anything else we've done so far. Okay, well, I do want to try to add in these name locations first. So let's grab this map and let's start by putting Midtown on the map. So for this, I think I'd like this to be, yeah, I think I'd like it to show up in the town hall here. Tell you what, maybe what I'll do is Maybe we'll kind of hide these. Oh, hello. Okay, forgot about you. Good to see you, buddy. Maybe I'll put it down here. There we go, we got Midtown. Next up. Oh my gosh. Wait, there it is. Oh, am I being dumb? Do I have to fly over to the area to update it? Guys, I really forget how maps work. It has been a long time since I've done this. Well, I think we're gonna stick on this same map. And yeah, we gotta get the crop fields in here too. But I think... no, you know what? I lied. Get in the other map. Alright, but if we just get this map... Oh, there we go. Look at that. Okay. Much better now. I think we will add... our banner... I think it may be like right under this tree here. Yeah, let's do it right here. And this again, if you didn't see last episode, we're calling the Painted Forest. So the Painted Forest is on here, and I'm just going to go ahead and update these other maps real quick. All right, so I think that is all of the maps updated, and I mean, dude, like the crops especially, super cool, and I love how it kind of like blends just into the like the forest here. There's like kind of that transition. Obviously, it's gonna look a lot cooler when the river is all done. And you'll see like the blue coming from the mountain here. But I mean, speaking of the mountain, totally complete mountain, 100% complete mountain, nothing not done with it. Super cool. Look at that. But as promised, there is one. Whoop. What is it going to be on this one? Yeah, it'll be on this one. One more thing I want to add. And it's actually going to be on the inside here, is I want to officially give this castle a name, and I'm going to be calling it Castle Viper. So this is kind of, there we go, Castle Viper, it's official. I guess you could say this is kind of inspired by Castle Volkihar in Skyrim, if you guys ever played that. Skyrim, definitely one of my favorite games. Probably a close number 2 behind Minecraft here, but yeah, I felt that it was kind of fitting. Like we have Midtown. Maybe I'll put something here for like Lower Midtown eventually. I don't know, maybe just Midtown. Lower Midtown's kind of like a subsection, but you know, we're going to have that for all these different neighborhoods. And oh my goodness, I forgot to put one for the farmlands. Okay, let me do that real quick. There we go. That is much better. But yeah, I think that I want to have you know, one of these little markers for like some of the like most important things. So Midtown, Lower Midtown, maybe we'll get one. I'll let you guys debate that down in the comments below. But the farmlands is obviously a big section. The Painted Forest is a big section. It really makes sense that the castle finally gets a name, and Castle Viper feels pretty fitting. The mountain will eventually get a name as well, but I'm not really sure what to call it, so let me know. Maybe I will use one of your ideas down below. And then eventually, pretty soon, maybe as soon as next episode, we're going to be starting a new section of the city. And dude, like this area too, cool name for this area. Like, I'm very inspired, if you guys can't tell. Like, but I'm super excited to be working on different parts of the city and just kind of the island as a whole. Like one day I want to have this whole thing filled out, whether it be like custom terrain, terraforming, or like, you know, all these different like little cities or nations, whatever, even over here, maybe even branching out as far as like these stony shores eventually. But for now, we're going to kind of stick a little closer, maybe just on this main island here. But the final thing, the last thing we're going to do today, and then I promise you guys are allowed to leave and click off the video. I won't hold you hostage here anymore. The last thing we're going to do is celebrate hitting 2,000 days. As you know, we did that a little earlier. Now it's actually like day 2055, I think. So, been a little bit. I told you it took me a while working on this mountain. But we are going to be building a monument and then having a little fireworks show, as is tradition every 1,000 days. That's kind of what we did the first 1,000. So we're keeping up with the tradition. And I figured what better place than to do it right here on this mountain. So stick around, hang tight. Let me get everything prepared. And then we will have ourselves a little show. And with that, guys, we are all finished for the day. I really appreciate you sticking around. We got to a lot of different things today, including a lava farm, a massive celebration for 2,000 days. We fixed up the maps a little bit, and then how can I forget doing this entire mountain here behind me? The entire thing, nothing left behind. The entire mountain is... I'm sorry, what did you say? What about the back? The back of the mountain? Wait, what do you mean the... Oh, no. Oh, come on. I started making this mountain outline months ago and way before I started working on this video. You see, when I was looking for a place to build my base, I wanted to find somewhere with a bunch of mountains surrounding it and I could create like this awesome, huge valley. Now, when I couldn't find that naturally in the world, I decided instead of abandoning the place that I spent the first 1,000 or so days, why not just build that here? So yeah, you just heard me right. This is actually the start of something, not just a single mountain. But that's terrifying to me. I just used like a bajillion stone on this thing right here, and it's not even done yet. Yeah, the thing is, this isn't done, so that's fun. But don't worry, I plan on being in this world for a long time, so there'll be plenty of time for me to finish it and add some more mountains around the island. Oh? I was able to finish my sentence this time. That's weird. Well, actually, there's nothing left in my script here. Okay, well, in that case, I guess I could talk about... So, that's it. That's everything. Well, almost everything. We did a few streams here where I mined deep slate until my fingers fell off, and some city planning ones where we started to lay out the future of this world. But I'll let you guys watch those ones on your own time. If you enjoyed this video, then consider sticking around for more. I have a world tour coming soon, and then a 2,000 days wrap video where we're going to touch on just some of the stats from the past 1,000 or so days. Aside from that though, I have some really great ideas for 3,000 days and some super fun projects coming up on the Afterlife SMP, so plenty more to come. So again, if you've made it this far, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Let me know what your favorite moment was from these 1,000 days. I think mine might have been building this forest here, but it's tough to pick. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.